Hello students. So students, in the previous class in this chapter, that is combustion and flame, we were talking about that of the fuel. So you see that we have seen combustion, we have seen flame, we have seen how to stop if the fire occur, how to extinguish fire. But to occur fire and for the process of the combustion, the thing that is very important for us, that is fuel. So we have understood fuels. Fuel is what basically it is used to complete the process of the combustion or to continue with the process of the combustion. So combustion process occur only in the presence of the fuel. Now this fuel is also divided into three. That is solid fuel, liquid fuel and gaseous fuel. If we talk about the solid fuel, so there are fuel which exist, means their physical state at a room temperature as a solid one. So we will say that such kind of a fuel which exists at a solid state at room temperature is called as the solid fuel. Now example here students, so we will say that coal is there, or cow dung cake is there, or we can say that of the wood is there, charcoal is there, coke is there. So all these things are what? These are a kind of a fuel that is supposed to be the solid fuel which we use in the form of a solid. Then the second one is the liquid fuel. So liquid fuel is that fuel which we use as a fuel in the form of a liquid or which exists as a liquid state at room temperature. Now the example of the liquid fuel is a student is the kerosene. Petrol is there, diesel is there. So these all are what? These exist in a liquid state at room temperature. Then the third one, that is the gaseous fuel. So gaseous fuel is the fuel which exists in the gaseous state, and example is the natural gas, compressed natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas, that is LPG. Now you see here students that okay, we have understood about the fuel, but how we can see that this fuel is much better than the other one. So it totally depends upon the efficiency of the fuel, how fuel is more efficient. So to determine the efficiency or to understand the efficiency of a fuel, we have seen that how much energy is released by that particular fuel when we are providing a sufficient supply of oxygen to it. Okay, so if oxygen is supplied to it, I'm just releasing the amount of energy. Now, comparing the amount of energy, we will be able to understand that which is much better than the other. Now, the heat which is released by a particular fuel means if a 1 kg of a fuel we have taken and the amount of a heat energy released by that 1 kg of a fuel, that is called as the calorific value. And to find the calorific value, to the unit that we use on which we use to measure the calorific value is kilojoule per kilogram. Now when you look at the chart student, we have find here one thing, that is the hydrogen is supposed to be the very good fuel which is having very high calorific value, and cow dung cake is supposed to be the having the low calorific value. So this much we all have understood, and moving on and see that okay, we are saying that this fuel is much better than the other. It means there is a fuel which we can say that okay, this is a kind of an ideal fuel. Okay, so how can we say that? On what basis we can say that this fuel is supposed to be an ideal fuel? Obviously on the basis of their characteristics. So let us try to understand that what are the different characteristics of an ideal fuel. Characteristics of an ideal fuel. Of an ideal fuel. Characteristic of an ideal fuel students. So basically you see that when we look at the calorific value, we said that it is considered to be the very good fuel. But is this the only factor on which we used to judge that this fuel is much better than the other? No. In fact, we can say that no, none of the fuel is supposed to be an ideal fuel. But there are some parameters on which we have, which is used to decide that whether this fuel is considered to be a good fuel or is an ideal fuel or not. So what are these characteristics? What are the parameters that we can use? So we have seen a lot of fuels, including the cow dung, including that of the kerosene or a petrol, and all of them used to release the heat energy. Hydrogen gas is supposed to be the very good fuel which used to release a sufficient amount of a heat energy, but this is not only the one thing that we will going to check in an ideal fuel. So let us see what is the first characteristic. That first one is that it should be economically as well as availability. It should be easy, means they will be more available, and economically it should be less value. Okay, so we can say it should be economically and availability. Economically, and it should be, or we can say it should be economical and easily available. Economical and easily available. Okay, so it should be economical students. Economical and easily available. The second one is that it should be safe to handle and to store as well as transport. Okay, so it should be safe to handle, to store, safe to handle, to store, and transport. Okay, so it should be safe to handle, to store, and for transport also. Okay, the third one here, it will be, that is, it should have, or it has a moderate rate of combustion. Okay, it should have moderate rate of combustion. Okay, so it should have a moderate rate of combustion. Next one is, it must have proper ignition temperature. Must have a proper ignition it means not too low, not too high. Not too low, not too high. Now you see students that basically if we look at these characteristics, so the first characteristic, it should be economical and easily available. Obviously, if the fuel is not easily available, so it will be not a good fuel. Okay, it should not be an ideal fuel because the consumption will be less only, and automatically it will become very costly if its availability is less. Okay, it should be safe to handle, and not only handle, to store and transport, because we know that we have to keep the fuel for the further process. So it should be safe to handle as well as to store it for the further use, and if we want to transport it from one place to another, it can be easily transport. Okay, it can be easily transferred or from one place to other place. Then it should have a moderate rate of combustion. Okay, so combustion should not be a high one, but a rate of combustion should be moderate one. Now, proper ignition temperature should be there. It means it should not be, it should not have a very high ignition temperature, neither too high, neither too low. It means the ignition temperature will be very low. we have to supply more amount of a heat so that it will get burned. So it should not have a high ignition temperature, and the second thing that it should not have a low ignition temperature, low ignition and as well as the high ignition. Now, if it is having very low ignition temperature, so we have to supply the sufficient amount of a heat so that it will burn. And if it is having very high ignition temperature, so we do not have to give temperature to it, it will burn automatically. It will become very reactive. So like we have seen in case of a sodium and potassium, that if you keep it outside, it will react easily to the air, to the atmosphere, to the oxygen present in the air. Ultimately, it catches fire. So we can say that it should not have a very low ignition temperature, that you have to supply a lot of heat to it so that it will burn, or it should not have very high ignition temperature that even you are not able to keep it outside, otherwise it will catch fire. So the fuel should have a moderate rate of combustion and it must have a proper ignition temperature. Then very good thing about the last one, that is it should not have it should not leave any kind of a residue. Okay, after combustion. So we can write the fifth one. It should not leave any residue after combustion. It should not leave any residue after combustion. Okay, so this is for student, these are some of the characteristics of ideal fuel. Whenever he is saying that it should not leave any kind of a residue, because you know that it will be what? It will show incomplete combustion. And obviously it will causes a lot of a pollution also. So we should say that it should not leave any kind of a residue. That will be, means that fuel will be a kind of a good fuel or supposed to be an ideal fuel. So these are some of the characteristic of an ideal fuel. So if a fuel is following all these characteristics, we can say that fuel is an ideal fuel. Now moving on and see the last topic, students, and that is what is the harmful effect of burning a fuel. You see, student, the combustion process, the flame, everything occur due to the combustible substance. It means due to the presence of the fuel itself. So we are burning the fuel. So what are the consequences that happen after burning a fuel? Harmful effects of burning of fuel, right? You see, basically students, obviously a lot of different kind of gases will be released when you burn a fuel. Burning a fuel will help in giving an energy, and that energy we can use in different things, like in generating electricity, in the locomotion, in locomotives petrol and diesel is used. So for different purpose we can use this heat energy, but when you burn a fuel, it will produces a lot of harmful gases, and these causes a lot of disease to a person. So let us see that what are the different kind of negative effect occurred on the environment because of burning of the fuel. Smoke, student, ash, black soot, other harmful or poisonous gases that can cause a lot of a breathing problem that occurs due to the burning of the fuel itself. So the first one is, we will talk about the pollutant which is released due to the burning of the fuel, and that first pollutant is the carbon monoxide. So this carbon monoxide, student, it is a colorless and odorless gas. Let me write some of the points about the carbon monoxide, and then we will try to understand this one. Okay, so it is colorless and odorless gas. Colorless and odorless gas. Okay. Cannot be detected easily. Results due to incomplete combustion. Results due to incomplete combustion. Okay, then very poisonous. Very poisonous. When inhaled. Okay. Mixes with blood. Then next one is causes suffocation, blurred vision, suffocation, blurred vision, then headache, even death of a person. So these are some of the properties of the carbon monoxide. Let me tell you about one by one. You see, students, that carbon monoxide is what? It's a kind of a pollutant which occur when we burn the fuel. Now basically this happens when an incomplete combustion occurs. Okay, so when the sufficient supply of oxygen is not there, then obviously incomplete combustion occur, and at that time this gas will be released, and that is known as the carbon monoxide. Okay, now this gas is supposed to be the colorless and odorless gas, so which cannot be detected easily. Okay, here obviously it cannot be detected easily because of the colorless and odorless. If it is having any kind of odor or color only, then we can understand that this is a carbon monoxide. Okay, so it is colorless and odorless gas, which that's why it is not able to detect it, and resulted due to the incomplete combustion. It is supposed to be very poisonous, students. So when a person inhale, this carbon dioxide reaches to the blood of the person. Actually, it combines with the hemoglobin and forms the carboxyhemoglobin. And this hemoglobin will block the, you can say that it will block the upcoming oxygen to combine with that of the hemoglobin. And if the sufficient supply of oxygen is not reaches to the person, so it will cause suffocation. It will cause blurred vision, it will cause a headache to the person, and if the amount of the carbon monoxide is very high, so it will even cause to the death of the person. So you can understand that how poisonous, how dangerous this gas is. Okay, so it's a kind of a pollutant which occur due to that of the burning of the fuel itself. Okay, so this is about that of the carbon monoxide. I hope you all have understood this one. Now moving on and see the next type of the pollutant, and that is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Now basically when we talk about the carbon dioxide, we say that it is a very good one. Why? Because it helps in carrying the process of photosynthesis. Okay, and when the photosynthesis occurs, we are able to get the oxygen. So it is very essential for carrying out the process of photosynthesis, especially for the plants. But what about in humans too? What about overall atmosphere if we talk? So not only it help in performing the process of photosynthesis, but you know that the carbon dioxide also help in maintaining the temperature. I hope you all have heard about Venus, a planet which consisting of a maximum amount of a carbon dioxide. And it's supposed to be the hottest planet, even though Mercury is very close to that of the Sun. So why is it so? Why it happens? Why it occurs, students? It is because that presence of the carbon dioxide, it help in trapping the heat received by sunlight and do not allow it to reflect, do not allow it to go back. So it will help in increasing the temperature, and when the temperature increases, obviously it will become the hottest planets. The same thing here, if the carbon dioxide is present at a certain rate, at a limited amount, so it will be very good as it helps in maintaining the temperature and in process of photosynthesis. But if its amount is very much more, then it will trap the sunlight. It will not allow the heat to again go back. So reflecting that of the heat. So this heat will increases the temperature and causes the melting of the ice and the glaciers, and due to which the level of the water, the sea level will increases and causes the global warming. So we can write it that excess of gas trap the sunlight, traps the sunlight, increases the temperature and results in global warming. This results in melting of glaciers. This results in melting of glaciers and increases the water level in ocean. Increases the water level in ocean. Okay, and causes the submerging, causes the flood and may submerge low-lying area. May submerge the low-lying area. So this is what, student, it is about that of the carbon dioxide. Okay, so you see that due to the more carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere helping trapping that of the sunlight, and ultimately it will goes to increase the temperature, results in the global warming, and this will result in the melting of the glaciers. The glaciers will melt and increases the water level in the ocean. Obviously, if the water level will increase, it will cause either flood or it will submerge the low-lying area. Okay, so I hope you have understood that how the pollutant carbon dioxide is very harmful for us. Then the next one, and next one is sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. Sulfur dioxide Basically, what happened in case of the sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, these are the gases which is released due to the burning of the fuel, and when they are present in the atmosphere, they used to, when the rainfall occur, it causes the acid rain. So basically what happened, when the rainfall occur, this SO2 and NO2 will react with that of the water and get converted into acid. Sulfurous acid and that of the carbonic acid, and when this acid falls on the surface, it will causes many skin infection, and it will corrode the monuments. Okay, so this will cause the acid rain. Now not only this, when you inhale this poisonous gas sulfur dioxide or nitrogen dioxide, it will causes a lot of a breathing problem. So we can write it, occurs due to burning of coal and diesel. Burning of coal and diesel. Okay. Nitrogen oxide occurs due to petrol engine, or occurs due to petrol engine, you can say. Okay. Both of them react with water and get converted to acid, and this acid causes corrosion of monuments. Corrosion of monuments. So it will cause the corrosion. It will also decreases affect that of the soil fertility, buildings, any kind of a monument, students, buildings, then skin disorders also occur because of that. Okay, so this is about that of the sulfuric acid and nitrogen dioxide. Now finally, that is suspended particulate matter, that is SPM. This is the last one. How SPM causes the problem. Suspended particulate matter. Suspended particulate matter. You see, students, a lot of tiny particles are also released due to the burning of the coal and that of a petroleum, and these remain present in the atmosphere, and it will causes a lot of a breathing problem, breathing disorder to the person. Okay, so these are that is known as the suspended particulate matter. Okay, so we can write it that these occurs due to the burning of fossil fuels, exist in the form of carbon particles, soot, ashes, etc. Causes irritation, suffocation, eye irritation, suffocation, headache, coughing, asthma, visibility problem, or we can write the blur visibility. So these are caused by the suspended particulate matter. So I hope you have understood that these pollutants are responsible for causing the pollution if we burn the fuel.